Yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, of
I
course.
think they thought you were a bus driver.
Yes, of
I
course.
think they thought you were a bus driver.
Yes, somebody said to me, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a shift worker." And he said, "Oh, do you drive a truck?"
I'd have said yes.
But it brings me to this topic because we haven't touched on it before. Let's talk about neighbours. Do you have neighbours from hell? This topic because we haven't touched on it before. Let's talk about neighbours. Do you have neighbours from hell? Have you got to know your neighbours? Maybe you live next door to people you've never even introduced yourself to.
I think it's a wonderful topic, and especially with Christmas looming.
Yes.
You would always have neighbours come in for an early morning drink or a coffee or a little chat before the Christmas dinner.
Used to. Does it still happen, do you
I
think?
don't know whether it does or not.
It does in your caravan park because you're all sort of in each other's pocket.
When they're on their own.
Yes,
if
you
they were
would.
an elderly couple living alone.
Yes. But you know, I know people who live right next door to people and they don't even know who they are and they've never introduced themselves. Yes. But you know, I know people who live right next door to people and they don't even know who they are and they've never introduced themselves, which is a bit sad.
I think that's rare. I think that is extremely rare. I've heard that so often.
Yes.
They would have clapped eyes on them.
Yes.
And at least nodded to them.
Yes.
Surely.
I have lovely neighbours. I have Buddhists on one side, Muslims on the other. And
Anyone who's antisocial.
I'd love to hear from people, did you have someone famous living next to you? Have you lived in the same house all your life? Did you have someone famous living next to you? Have you lived in the same house all your life?
Yeah, not necessarily that, but have the flavour, has that wonderful... Because you see what is the biggest thing, growing up in the 50s and 60s, going in next door when there was another kid, that was the great bond across that fence. Over the fence.
Borrowing a cup of sugar, maybe?
Yeah, let's go in and get some sago and have a cup of tea with them.
I was hearing on Neil's show this morning where, some boys were kicking...
And get some sago and have a cup of tea with them.
I was hearing on Neil's show this morning where, some boys were kicking a footy or, playing cricket in the street.
I heard that.
And the local council said, no, you can't do that, move on, you're obstructing traffic.
Which
Times
is a great
have
pity,
changed.
because we would stretch a rope from a lamppost across the entire length of the width of the road and have about 10 kids skipping.
Because there might be about one car an hour passed by.
Well, that's right. There was mostly.
It was adjustment for a horse, or they had a cow or sheep or something.
Well, we had bonnies. We had bonfire nights,
Yes,
didn't we?
of
With
course we did.
Sump Oil and Guy Fawkes.
Yeah, I'd say mice or something.
Well, we had bonnies. We had bonfire nights,
Yes,
didn't
of
we?
course
With
we did.
Sump Oil and Guy Fawkes.
Yeah, I'd say my street and, properties in the street I live in, land sells for about $1 million these days, but you're right, they were just vacant blocks of land.
No, not the crowd going to Nambucca Heads. They would have bought about $5 million worth of property.
They've just sold their house, and I didn't like to say how much did it fetch.
I would have. What's he do for a crust?
I don't know. I must find out.
Oh, you've got to find out.
Yeah, I think he might be retired because every morning at 10:30 he yarns down at La Poquette having a coffee or something.
Does he?
With Hugo, who's the family pug, by the way.
Oh, don't talk about the cafe owner like that. That's dreadful.
So let's talk about your neighbours and how your neighbourhood has changed over the years. And thank you, Jan and Debbie, for your hospitality. Everybody was, there was a bit of a booze up.
Did you have any booze?
And Debbie said to me,
Did you have any booze?
Let me tell you, she said, what would you like? I said, I'd love a cup of coffee. Are you thirsty?
Good.
Anyway,
Cup of coffee.
I should have taken a thermos flask.
Do you think?
But anyway, so how do you feel about your neighbours? Do people know there's a celebrity in a thermos flask?
Do you think?
But anyway, so how do you feel about your neighbours? Do people know there's a celebrity in their street when you walk around the block?
Oh, I think I'm a truck driver.
That's what one of the architects thought I was. That's all right.
Listen, let's have a look at the ratings, shall we?
Yes.
Not in any order, Phil. 9's News did well again last night. 7's News the same. ABC News all very high up there in the top 10.
Yes.
A Current Affair was next. RBT 7:30 report. Home and Away number 9 and RBT again the repeat.
Okay, now I have to ask you about two programs. How did the verdict fare? It was a special on Paris last night.
Let me tell you, the verdict. No, not in any, not even the top 10.
Well, that would be a worry for 9.
I think that could be the end, don't you?
Yes, I don't think you want Current Affairs on a Thursday night at 9:30 or 8:30.
Well, to see that they're making it a bit lighter, they're making it a bit more chatty and a bit more, as humorous as you can with the topic. So
Can you be
So
humorous?
touchy for last night.
Can you be humorous with Mark Latham on the panel? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Some of the panelists aren't very appealing, are they? On the verdict?
Well, don't mention names.
No, I
but,
won't.
Have you seen the show?
Yeah, I've seen promos.
Oh, well, who's not appealing?
Oh, well, use your imagination. How did the Goggle Box do? Is that there anywhere?
Just out of the top 10, number 11.
Okay, and the Chasers Media Circus on the ABC?
Chasers Media Circus, number 15, so they'd be happy with that.
All right, and did anyone watch Sherlock on ABC, Sherlock Holmes?
No.
All right. I'll tell you what I would have liked to have seen, because I love travel.
I know. Mighty cruise ships.
Yes, was that in the top 20?
12, yes.
Yeah, the Quantum of the Seas last night.
Yes.
Well, now it's your turn, folks. We're
Yeah.
only here for an hour 45.
Neighbours, interaction with neighbours, popping in for a bit of a yarn, cup of coffee, something even more so, perhaps a meal together or going out together.
Yeah. That time was by tradition when Lois and I would call on you Christmas morning and we'd be made very welcome for some crackle and
Yeah,
cold
but it's
duck.
hardly neighbours. You live 10 miles away.
Yeah, but it seems to have all stopped.
I know, because it was all one track. It was always one track.
I take you to the Olive Jar occasionally.
When?
Oh, a year ago I took you and Jill out for lunch.
For a birthday.
Yeah, well,
Well,
Sarah's there, Bruce, for you.
hello, Sarah at Croydon.
Hello there, boys. Yeah, just talking about neighbours. I've just moved from a family home about a k and a half away to a townhouse.
Yes.
And I was very, very lonely for a long, long time. Well, for 12 months or more. Now I feel more at home because I've got her as a friend and someone to share things with.
That's lovely.
Yes. And she's as a friend and someone to share things with.
That's lovely.
Yes. And she's a single mum. She's a single mum, but she lost her husband a couple of years ago. She looks after my cat. I'll do anything for her. She'll do anything for me. But neighbours are...
It's family, don't you?
Yeah, well.
Well, why?
Well,
What do you think?
Well, I suppose they can grow apart, can't they?
Oh, well, I've always had good... Why? What do you think?
Well, I suppose they can grow apart, can't they?
Oh, well, I've always had good neighbours. And by the way, your last person that was on before you, the French songs, you guys would have known all those French songs that they were singing.
Yes.
Hey?
I didn't hear the show. I was on the road, but I heard them talking about Edith Piaf and so on. Yeah.
Yes, but I was singing along and I'm thinking, keep playing them all.
Yes.
Yeah, a bit of brightness, something optimistic.
But because I'm a little bit your age, you see, that's why I knew that.
You know, it's so sad, Sarah. So many people ring Nightline and say they don't have a friend in the world. But I think that's because they don't reach out to anybody, you know?
That's right. Well, this gorgeous girl, lady, and you won't believe it, we're both born in 1949, so we're both 66, and we're both born in November. Just had our birthdays, and we're just clicked. We're just like sisters.
I think that's gorgeous.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, lovely.
Yep, absolutely beautiful.
You've found gold in your life, Sarah, without a shadow of a doubt. And as you say, probably closer than family.
Yeah, obviously. Thanks for sharing the story.
Yeah, lovely story. And they're the sort of things we like to hear about. Neighbours, good neighbours, or even bad neighbours. How have you coped?
Yeah.
You know, there have been neighbours saying, "Oh, your lemon tree is hanging over my, my fence. I want to torn down."
And what about when you see a current affair and somebody's collecting junk in their front yard?
That'd be last year's, wouldn't it?
How do they get away with it? You know, leave it.
I just don't know, because it's not just a little pile of here, take this TV set.
That's right.
It's clippings and lawn. And...
Be all right if it's a backyard, but sometimes a front garden.
Why go in the backyard?
Oh, because most people wouldn't see it. But boy, if it's in the front garden, it'd be like Mardaly's junk shop in North Melbourne.
Absolutely.
Do you remember Mardaly, the mayor of
I know the
North
name. I didn't see her or knew her personally.
No. But she had nothing to do with the mamas and the papas. She wasn't in that group.
No. All right, listen, it's 10:20. Stephen Bernard, Denise with you in a minute. Research by a foundation in Britain reveals a devastating number of men feel friendless. A survey found that 51% of respondents had no close friends. And the summary was that I never remember talking about feelings with my father or my brothers, said one participant. And we didn't in those days. You didn't reveal how lonely you felt, how sad you felt, how despondent you felt about not getting a job. You sort of put on a brave front. Oh, yes, Dad, I'm going to do well.
Yeah, you'd bottle it up, yeah.
Yeah, and Dad would say, oh, good, because I look forward to seeing it. And then, as it turned out, luckily you did do all right.
No, you'd hide your emotions.
But you did hide your emotions, and that's what people are doing, particularly men.
Yes.
And it's not a good thing.
No,
I mean, how many friends would you have? How many friends have we got that you would say would be close as Sarah's friend across the way?
Yeah, I'd say I'd probably, without boasting, have 200 best friends.
Oh, rot.
I'm sorry. Well, how come I've thrown these 6 parties at the olive jar?
Because it's a free fang.
And there's 40 people at each. That's 200 people.
That's right. Well, it's all free.
I'm fond of.
Brady's putting it on. We'll all line up.
And but they're all fond of me as well.
Not.
Of course they are.
Oh, get up, shake your hand, never see you for the year.
No, that's not
Just
true.
waiting for the next invite.
No, they're not. No. They're near.
Be honest.
No, they're near and dear.
Who are the close 5 friends?
Oh, yeah, I'm very blessed. I have more than 5.
Yeah, the herd that are leaving up to New Caledonia, leaving the $5 billion property.
Yeah, well, Jan and Debbie are moving out, but that's all right. They'll come back again.
That's an indicator.
No. Most of my friends are outside showbiz. I find most people in show business are very artificial and terribly plastic.
Really?
And just care about themselves.
Oh,
Haven't you discovered that?
You've done very well out of that, haven't you?
Oh, no, but their egos are out of control. And they just want to talk about radio ratings.
Yes, so how many friends?
Enough to get by. I'm never short of friends.
Well, certainly not 200.
Well,
Acquaintances are totally different.
you and I send out 600 Christmas cards next month.
Doesn't matter. That's all artificial.
No, it's not.
It's as artificial as you're saying that your mates in the business.
No, half the people who listen to us, they look on us as family. Believe me, they do.
But they're not friends.
Well, we don't know them all personally, but no, I'm not short of friends. That's never been a problem. I'm never lonely. I'm never bored. And I've always got someone to have a coffee with.
No, well, that's very good.
And you would have too. Yeah.
No.
Well, no, your family mean more to you. You'd rather be with your grandchildren, I think,
right.
rather than old schoolmates or whatever. But to each his own. I've been very blessed with my friends.
You've got to be careful not to buy them, though.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge funeral, I'll tell you.
Oh, well, what do you gauge that on then?
Oh, well, just
to parties and funerals.
could well be a state funeral.
Oh, rubbish. Oh,
will you be there, Bruce?
Stephen at Greenvale. G'day. Oh, rubbish. Oh,
will you be there, Bruce?
Stephen at Greenvale. G'day, Steve.
G'day, Bill.
Hi, Steve.
You don't gate crash your friends' homes, do you? And you actually get invited.
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
Listen, neighbours. Look, to be honest, guys, I think it depends where you live. In my experience, I found if I lived in a low socio-economic neighbourhood, they're much more friendlier than where I currently live now. Where I currently live now, it's like, people are in their own little ivory towers and 6-foot fences. You never really, you never see them.
You never see them.
You can't hear them. Like where we used to live, like in Campbellfield, we grew up there. I lived there for 20-odd years. And, the houses were so small, the fences were right up to your bedroom window.
That's right.
And you open the window and you have a conversation through the fence. And, you have a birthday, everyone's invited, no one gate crashes because people just didn't do that, right? Everyone knew each other. It was like the whole street knew each other. And, you play cricket on the road, and, even as an adult, I said, next door neighbour, you want to play some cricket? The council didn't stop you. They didn't care.
But didn't it have a lot to do with going to school? Because the whole group of you used to go to school from the street.
That's true. That is so true. I mean, everyone basically went to the same school, and they mixed. And it wasn't just, like one group of ethnicity. It was a mix of everybody. And because we mixed, we all knew each other, and it was like one big family. And, as you grew up, you had beers, you had barbecues, you just went over. And, it was so friendly, guys, that my dad being a builder, those old little wooden fences at the back, he built 2 doors, one for the back neighbour and one on the side, and he cut into those fences and he made a little door so they could enter our backyard and come over.
Oh, yeah, we all did that. That's true.
Even though that was against council laws.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Nobody dobbed each other in because nobody cared. Everyone was just, pretty cool about it. And, no one called the council if you had a problem. Like,
No.
if, trees were hanging over the fence, you'd just go over and say, listen, do you mind cutting it down? Yeah, no worries.
Exactly.
They didn't report you and then suddenly get a letter through the mailbox saying, someone's reported you,
No.
And guys, look, to be honest, dogs didn't walk around, with a lead, because everyone, trained their dogs to behave, and everyone knew who had what kind of a dog, and you just, if you had a phobia or a fear of one, you just didn't go near it. But everything was so cool, and currently where I live now, obviously things have changed, I'm older, but people just don't, there is no friendly, assimilation. Everyone's in their, flashy cars. They drive in, the electric doors open, the electric doors close. You can't see them, you can't hear them. I mean, if someone...
Yeah, I suppose one of the changes was that Mum and Dad didn't work. They were home all the time. It was a one-car family and a one-job family, wasn't it, Stephen?
Yeah, exactly. Like, my parents, they weren't well educated. They did factory jobs and one...
Yeah, and if you played up, there was always someone in that neighbourhood who'd say, Stephen's playing up a bit. He was on the back fence for the... and you'd have the eyes and ears of the world looking at you.
Exactly, and we had people that babysitted us that weren't related to us, Bruce.
That's right, exactly.
Because we knew who they were, and their kids went to school, and Mum would go to work and say, listen, can you look after the kids? Yeah, no worries. And
it was wonderful.
It was a great time, and it wasn't a century ago. It was like 20-odd years ago.
Yeah, yes, you're right. No, great memories, Steve. Thank you very much for that. A good call.
Yeah, very observant on his part. Bronwyn at Clyde North. Hello, Bronwyn.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
G'day.
Oh, that's good. Firstly, some good news. I've finally been, as I told you guys have been keeping me happy the last 2 months I've been in hospital, and I've been discharged.
Thank you.
Discharged in time for my little one's second birthday on Sunday.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. It's wonderful. Now, on to Neighbours, 3 quick stories for you. Growing up, I grew up in the Northern Territory, so in a smaller town, a smaller neighbourhood. And, we had our doors open at night, the back doors and all that was still unlocked. And again, like Steve said, everybody knew everyone, chat at the back fence. Mum would talk to our friends' mum that had coffees. We used to build cubby houses. The trees, banyan trees, big banyan trees in the Northern Territory would be in both properties. So a cubby house would be built in both properties, and we'd meet up there and have our little play dates and whatnot. And it was a wonderful time walking to school and whatnot. And then another story, my husband grew up in Mount Waverley, a family home that's been in the family for generations, to the point where when we were saving for our first home and pregnant with our first child, we were actually there as well. And the neighbours who had actually used to babysit my husband when he was a child, they then babysat our first daughter when she was born.
Oh, beautiful.
Wonderful. And unfortunately, that family home is now sold and we've all moved on. But and now we've moved to Clyde, which is a beautiful area. But unfortunately, just like Steve said, everybody's in their own little bubble.
Yeah, no.
We've tried to connect with our local neighbours, but I understand they've got their own lives. But the good thing is that there's a local park, and we send out little things on the local notice board saying we're having a get-together for the kids and a barbie, and occasionally some of the neighbours do come down, which I find really nice.
That is good. That's good.
Yeah,
right.
a bit of that going on. So you just don't know who you're supposed to trust. But it's a shame because growing up, I just have the greatest memories of supposed to trust. But it's a shame because growing up, I just have the greatest memories of.
Well, this is, I think, Bronwyn, is where the social network can come into it, where invitations can be issued, within a split second.
Yeah.
We're going to the park. Do you want to join us? Bring some snags and we'll have a bit of a drink.
Yeah, or come over and have Christmas dinner with us.
So that social network has its positives, hasn't it?
And it can be instantaneous, as
It
you
is
say.
a social network I'm talking about. Is that what it's called?
Well, it is. You're networking, yes, to get to know your neighbours.
How much do you use? You use yours a lot. See
No.
you this afternoon for morning tea or something?
No, not
afternoon
tea.
tea?
No, I'd rather be with people I know well and feel secure with them.
Hasn't got any friend.
You know you really ought to take a trip to Bayswater.
If you're looking for a new or late model caravan, pop top or camper, a trip out to Bayswater Jayco could solve your needs. Bayswater Jayco.
Very happy. My husband's not very happy. I tried playing some music to cheer them up, but they wouldn't be in it, and both of them are very unhappy. My son sits in his room and's on the computer all the time. And to tell you the truth, all this loneliness going on, I think it's caused by computers, because everybody's on the computerised things, and it's all in the house, and nobody associates with anybody.
There's a lot in that. Yes, you're right.
But what I wanted to really say is, I am sick, and how do you stop these Asian people ringing up nearly every week on the phone saying stupid things? Now, tonight it upset me terribly. Once overseas, it was a private number, and he said, I said, what country are you from? And he wouldn't answer me. He said, shut, and he said, I said, what country are you from? And he wouldn't answer me. He said, shut up, you old lady.
Oh.
And I said, what country are you from? He said, I'm a bloody Asian. And I said, I'm afraid he caught me at the wrong moment, and I told him to get. Sometimes I got my husband to answer the twice, and he couldn't understand him. And we've phoned the do not call register twice, and he couldn't understand him. And we've phoned the do not call register, and it's not even working now. I don't know who these people are, but they're going around the country and they're ringing up people. I don't know what's behind it, whether it's the underground, whether it's the what do you call them, causing the trouble at the moment.
The terror, it wouldn't be terrorism. Not terrorism, no.
Well, I'm getting sick of it, and it's upset the whole household. And my mother is very worried. She's elderly, and she can't understand why it's happening.
Well, why don't you change your phone number?
Well, do you think that would help?
Well, it might. That'd be a start, wouldn't it?
Might. Oh, I get sick of it.
I don't blame you, especially after hours.
I
It's
think
not
they're
fair.
telemarketers, aren't they, Denise? They're after business. They're after.
I don't know. I think there's more to it than meets the eye, Bruce.
Yeah.
I think they're bad, and I don't know what's behind it. But just to be on a cheerful side, I just wanted to let Phil know that my father, when he was alive and when he lived in Footscray, used to take Dorothy Baker dancing.
Oh, really? What was his name?
Ron Short.
Oh, well, she might remember,
So,
Ron.
tell her, if she's got a good memory, she might remember Ron Short. He used to go dancing with
All
her.
right,
Well, more
Denise.
important, you have a better night. You try and brighten yourself up a bit, Denise. You're feeling
Oh,
a bit down.
I don't know, Bruce. It's terrible. We haven't got anybody around here we can rely on. If my mother was sick, I couldn't rely on any neighbours. They've all, since one neighbour's moved in, they've all turned against us. And we've done nothing wrong.
Well, I can't run your life for you, but change your phone number and maybe move to another suburb.
I can't afford
See,
to.
how can she do that? What?
I can't do that.
Yeah, if only you could.
Move to
That'd
Do
be
you know what
the
they
answer.
complained about?
Yeah,
Do you know what they complained about?
tell me.
Sand where a car is parking. They stuck notices in our front and said the sand shouldn't be there because the car's got to park there.
Oh, you're really going through it.
Yeah,
Maybe talk to your local council about this.
Yeah. I don't know whether that'll do any good, but I just hope that you'll be able to get to know them a little bit better, Denise,
Yeah.
and things are a bit brighter for your whole family by the sound
Yeah,
of it.
you're very unhappy tonight. I don't blame you.
Yeah, be patient and be oh well.
We're always here for you, Denise.
Oh dear.
We care.
Oh yeah. 19 to 11.
When you need to be heard.
Hello, Terry.
Neil, just got a bit of a concern.
Barbara, hello.
Oh, good morning, Neil. I'm pretty upset.
Call Neil Mitchell.
Carol.
To Adelaide, it's direct out of Essendon Airport.
Private charter.
Yeah, well, it's a group
Just
of
you
us.
on board.
No, 25 of us.
Oh, well, it's hardly private.
Well, it's not a scheduled flight. It's Australian Air Holidays organise these special trips, and the one to Norfolk Island is one you'll long remember.
And Kangaroo Island?
Yes, I'll tell you about that after next week. But I've been with Australian Air Holidays to the Outback. I've been down to Bass Strait, to Flinders Island. They are just supils and all sorts of wonderful itineraries.
Discounts?
Excuse me?
Discounts?
Not in my vocabulary, buddy. I like to pay my way.
I bet it is.
Excuse me?
Discounts?
Not in my vocabulary, buddy. I like to pay my way.
I bet it is.
Australia, their
it's a
holiday.
need of the neck.
See you in Norfolk Island.
No,
folks.
really, they are wonderful, Australian Air holidays. And what I love about it is only 3 hours.
Yes. And
3
you're
hours
there.
on the flight, and you're in beautiful Norfolk Island.
Oh.
A world away.
A tropical paradise. It's one. You'll never want to come home. Believe me. Australian Air Holidays will look after you every mile.
Booze, throw to the Herald Sun.
Herald Sun headlines. For Harvey Norman, shop with confidence online, mobile and in-store.
Michelle Ainsworth, good evening, Michelle.
Good evening, gentlemen.
What's in the paper tomorrow, please?
A few elderly people, and I took my neighbour, who's going to be 93 tomorrow. I took her to Cabrini for her little checkup, and today, and we got the cab and came back, and it was really good. But we have got lots of lovely young kids and family, and we all like to get together with each other, and it's a really happy street. But at the moment we do have a little bit of building work going on. Friends sold their house and they moved, but there is someone going to build, and we have another couple of units diagonally across from me, which they start very early in the morning. There's lots of noise, but it's all changing. But our neighbours are all absolutely lovely, and I would never move from here. I'm in my 60s, and no, it is great, and we are so lucky here and so happy, and that's what I'd like to tell you.
Well, even if there are changes with older homes being demolished and units going up, you can all stick together as a family and not fight any changes, because that can be...
No, you won't fight, because the people have sold their block and they're building 2 units coming back, but another pair have moved off to Bentley, and so, but no, it's all good, and there's elderly people and young people, all these young kids, and and the boys across the road, they still play cricket in our street.
That's great. That's great.
I'm going to tell them off.
Well, what about taking your elderly neighbour, the one you love, and you take to Cabrini to a $50 pancake parlour?
She'd love that.
A morning. The pancake parlour open 24 hours at High Point, Doncaster. At 24 hours at High Point, Doncaster and Malvern East, and you'll find it's lovely. She'll love it, and so will you.
We've been there, because we'll go to Malvern.
All right. Yeah, well, Malvern's nice and close.
Yes, it is.
A good call, Sally.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Love you guys.
Okay, darling, now hold the line. Don't hang up. We'll get that invitation out to you, Sally. Thank you for the call. 10 to 11.
During different stages of life, your healthcare needs change. That's why it's important to review your health cover, so you're not paying for cover you no longer require, like obstetrics.
And just speaking about neighbours.
Yeah.
I moved from Jamison to Thornbury about 5 years ago, and living in Jamison, it was wonderful because it northeastern of Victoria, we were all neighbours and very caring of each other. And now living in Thornbury, I just think having a couple of dogs is the best way to meet people.
Yeah, it is.
And just this evening, I took my dogs for a walk around the block after I got home from school. And it was round about dinner time, and I hesitated in front of a neighbour's house. And I usually see this Ray, his name is, and he may be listening. And happy birthday, Ray! I hesitated in front of his house, and I thought, dinner time, do I go in? Then I just decided to go in and ring his bell and, sorry, Ray, I hope I'm not interrupting your dinner. It was his birthday.
Yes.
And he was all alone. And I was so pleased that I actually made that moment that, standing outside his gate. Do I go in? Do I not go in? Do I interrupt him? And I went in and then found it was his Ray, if you're listening, and I think he does listen to 3AW, it was his 69th birthday.
Wonderful. Well, that's nice that you did that.
Yeah, and Ray and I chatted, and our doggies, played, and we chatted, and I went away feeling, kind of. I like living in Thornbury. It's a very, it's a great area to live in. Everyone is so friendly. But I think you've got to have a dog on the lead.
And you might have been the first person Ray had spoken to all day.
I think you've got to either have kids, a dog, pets, something like that to break the ice.
Yes.
And you've done that beautifully tonight with Ray and his birthday.
Yeah, and I think if you want to meet someone of the opposite sex, have a dog on the lead because it can lead to bonding,
Oh, you don't know. Just call in and say, happy birthday. What's the opposite sex going to do?
Well, I don't mean it's going to lead to lust,
well, it
but I
sounds
just
like
mean that you've got something in common. You've both got mutts or pugs.
That's right, but don't try and get anything else out of Ray.
Well, because you've got common ground, it could lead to something. That's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
That's why I've always got Oro on the end of his leash.
Just give the dog a bone.
Hello again. This is John Doremus with the Passing Parade of the story of a bloodthirsty pirate whose beginning and end are shrouded in mystery. His name was Ben Pease. He came from nowhere to maraud the China Seas, swoop on South Sea Islands, and pillage and murder his way from one end of the Pacific to the other. And then, as suddenly as he had come, he vanished from the scene. I'll be back after this message.
Give tip-top a tinkle. Give tip-top a tinkle. Come on and test the bread that's best. Give tip-top a tinkle.
Nobody knew where he came from. The only certainty was that he had been cashiered from the United States Navy for leading a mutiny. In 1854, Ben Pease was in command of a Chinese gunboat protecting junks and hunting pirate ships in the China Seas. He made a double fortune by forcing the junks to pay protection money and the pirates to hand over portions of their loot for Pease's connivance at their activities. When the Chinese authorities learned what he was up to, they sent other gunboats to bring him in, but he managed to escape. In Honolulu, Pease spotted a large black schooner riding at anchor. With forged orders from a Sydney company, he effected its purchase and headed for Fiji, shanghaiing natives on the way and selling them as slaves to the Fiji plantation owners. From there on, he committed every form of atrocity. In the Solomons, native chieftains collected their enemies' heads as signs of their prowess. Chiefs who exhibited the greatest number of heads were considered heroes. Then Pease saw a good line of profits in the heads. He docked near the island of Florida, let off a cannon, and waited patiently while the inevitable shouting and grinning throng of natives came alongside. He then ordered his men to pelt the canoes with stones till they capsized, at which stage boats were lowered and every native was hauled aboard and held head downward over the gunwales. Knife in hand, Pease went along the row and hacked their heads off. At the island of Vara, he repeated the performance. With a supply of heads, he struck handsome bargains with various native chiefs who were anxious to enhance their prestige. Another of his profitable sidelines was the trafficking of native maidens, who he sold for 50 guineas apiece to the vice rings of Macau and Hong Kong. And then in 1871, while ashore in Hong Kong, he got involved in an argument and knifed a man to death. Arrested, he was put on trial for murder, but he bribed the jury and most of the witnesses and was let off with a reprimand. More confident than ever, he marauded trading ships in the South Pacific and forced the islanders to depend on him for supplies. By 1874, his name and misdeeds were legendary. It was claimed that he had sunk upward of 100 vessels, plundered their cargoes, and butchered their crews. Then, on a morning in October of 1874, a blood-stained canoe bobbed ashore on the island of Ponape in the Caroline Group. The canoe contained a torn sailor's cap and a rusty rifle. Both bore the name of Ben Pease. Whether or not Pease himself died in the canoe is a mystery that has puzzled historians ever since. No trace of his body was found, and from that time on, he was never heard of again. Our time is up. Till we meet again for another chapter in the Passing Parade, this is John Doremus. As always, thank you so much, and goodbye for now.
3AW 693.
News. 15 degrees in Melbourne, a possible morning shower tomorrow.
Okay, what have you got planned for the weekend, Bruce?
A bit of rollerblading, and I want to do some, some parallel diving down down sheer rock faces.
Yeah. I believe you've been perfecting synchronised swimming lately as well.
Yes, I have been. And a lot of rollerblading along Beaconsfield Parade in the very tight lycras.
Oh, yes, well, watch out for that. You'll be a traffic hazard.
Okay.
I'll tell you where I'm going tomorrow night. Judy Pratt's putting on a new show, Jerry's Girls. Tell you all about it Sunday night.
That'll be good. Yeah.
With all the best songs from Dolly and Mame and La Caja Fall.
Yeah, that's great.
Right. Like to come, Bruce?
Sounds terrific. 3AW Wangaratta and 2QN Deniliquin, welcome to the last hour of Friday, isn't it?
Yeah, our sixth night. And we were talking earlier, if you didn't hear us, about your neighbours. And are you friendly with them? Do you know them? How long have you been in the area? And how's your neighbourhood changed?
How have you made friends, too? How have you found that if you come from the country areas and you're settling in a little, perhaps not so much in a flat, but an apartment, and feeling a bit lonely, how have you made that transition to a friendship across the way?
And isn't it interesting how different groups gravitate to different areas? Like, for example, the Vietnamese around North Richmond, our Jewish friends around Balaclava. People sort of live in pockets, don't they? For comfort's sake and for security, I imagine.
What's your security?
Being with their, for comfort's sake and for security, I imagine.
What's your security?
Being with their
what's your pocket?
Oh, well, I have all types in my street. I told you, Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, Jews, and we all get along like a house on fire. Thankfully, there's a lot of harmony between us all, sharing and caring.
You'd pop in, would you, for some sago or...
My next door neighbour often arrives at the front door with a meal for me, which I think is very gracious.
What sort of meal?
A rice dish, perhaps, because they're from Pakistan originally. A spicy dish with some alfalfa, egg roll.
What do you get? What do you give?
What do I give in return? Companionship, company, security.
Nothing.
That's what I offer them.
Okay, Irma at Frankston, good evening.
Oh, hello, boys. How are you?
Hello, Irma.
Thanks for waiting.
Oh, that's okay. I do miss you guys at 8 o'clock.
Oh, that's all right.
I have to have a little nanny nap in the afternoon to stay awake till 12 o'clock.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, you're a pair of characters, really. Yeah.
Do you reckon?
I'd love to see Bruce at his lycra and his skateboard, but didn't. Oh, dear, now look, I was just ringing to warn all our lovely Nightline listeners that there is another scam going around. Today I had a phone call from a very Asian man with a very English name who went on to inform me that I was in trouble with the tax department.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Now, that's certainly not me in trouble with the tax department. So by the time I had him spell his name out and who he was from and his number, he gave me a number. Then I asked for his phone number. I think I was sounding far too efficient, and he just hung up on me.
Yeah, that's about the best.
So I just wanted to warn all our regulars that these are around. I've won all sorts of things with these people, according to them. And on my computer, of which I'm like, Phil, I don't have one, has played up so much, I must have had a dozen calls to tell me my computer's playing up. And I just string them along and in the end and say, well, what happens if I haven't got a computer?
Exactly. You have the last laugh.
Oh, no, look, it just drives you crazy. So I can understand how that other lady, not quite, but how that other lady got all upset over it. Because
yes.
I mean, there's a lot of little people who aren't awake up. I mean, I'm in my mid-80s. Now, there's a lot of people who might not wake up to all these people.
That's right.
Yes, I've found phone calls. They knew my name, they knew my phone number, they knew what bank I banked with. To tell me that my bank had overcharged me, and if I was to give them my birth date, they would put the money back in the bank for me.
Too much information.
Oh, yeah. And I just said, well, look, if you know all this information about me, you know how old I am,
Yes, of course.
But anyway, I just wanted to warn all our regulars that
this is what's happening.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. Thank you very much for that.
That's okay.
Thanks, Irma.
Okay, bye.
Good on you, Irma. Nice call. Thanks so much.
There are some unscrupulous people out there without a conscience, obviously.
No, that's right, you see.
Who would rip you off and rob you blind.
And the more computer literate we become, the more you become susceptible.
Oh, yes, they can hack your computer and get all your information
That's
so
right,
easily.
very easily.
So, you never give any information out over the phone.
Nothing at all. Even if they
anybody.
say they're from the tax department or the bank or internal revenue, come on, we want information. No, don't give it.
Hang up on them or do what Jill did. Didn't Jill have a shrill whistle by the phone in case she got an offensive phone call?
Oh, that was when a fellow was trying to make overpasses, yes. Oh, yes.
Turned out to be Bruce.
Poor darling in an Asian dry cleaning depot out the back there, no air getting in.
Would have been 55 degrees there.
Oh, even more so.
Yes. Although she's probably from the paddy fields of India and she'd be used to that humidity.
I don't know about that.
Good evening, boss. I just wanted to say last night I rang in because I'd had a violent incident where I live, and I called the police in South because I'd had a violent incident where I live, and I called the police in South Melbourne who were wonderful, so that was all good, and the management got onto it today, so hopefully they're getting moved on. But the great thing about neighbours is that I've got two wonderful neighbours next door to me who were very supportive and who basically had the same sentiments, and they're lovely people. So I'm taking them to the pancake parlour on the weekend.
Oh, that's great.
Thanks to your lovely prizes that you've sent me.
Lovely.
And yes, and it is that kind of thing that you think to yourself, okay, you feel a bit isolated at times in the city, but there are always people who share your interests and always people who look out for each other.
That's right.
And it was a really lovely thing because it was a very, very upsetting thing.
Did you ring out last night about the banging doors?
Oh, look, there was a fight. There was an actual fight.
Oh, dear.
Where I live, I'm the youngest person here, but they're generally elderly, frail people.
Yes.
But what often happens is that they place these ne'er-do-wells in here kind of as an interim measure. But the thing is, they're not suited to here. They've been in the prison system or worse, and they make trouble. They have their drug parties all night and that kind of thing.
Dear.
So at least we've now all been informed that they're getting evicted. But seeing the police were wonderful. The police just said, look, if there's a problem, just ring us and we'll send a squad car and it'll be looked after.
Oh, that's good.
So at least we had that, because it was the first time in nearly 4 years that I've lived here that I was afraid to go outside of my door.
Oh, you would be.
And so I just wanted to say you have to ultimately believe in the goodness of people.
Yes.
And I always believe that God puts good people on my path.
That's right.
I get that all the time. And also just to let you know, last night was just so nice to hear your voices and to calm down and de-stress and to hear the lovely Queenie of Bayswater talking about the trouble in the world and the way she called 9/11 7/11.
Yes.
I'm afraid I'm always going to call it 7/11 from now on.
Yes.
I hate to be glib, but it was just wonderful to hear her wisdom and your both lovely wisdom. So thank you so much. And we're going to toast you at the pancake
At the
parlour.
pancake parlour. Have a lovely time there tomorrow with your neighbours and keep friendly with them and bond with them. And you'll become like a family within a family.
Yeah, great things are on the up and up
And
for
I'm
you.
glad that the all-surrounds and the ne'er-do-wells are being pushed out.
Sounds like a halfway house.
Oh, yes.
Of undesirables.
That's right. And it never mixes, does it?
No, but they always move on eventually, these people.
I think you're right.
They're drifters, aren't they?
Yeah.
And some of them are scumbags.
Well, I don't know about that. It's really coming in for a bit of a belting there tonight. But if you are a scumbag, all the best to you in South Melbourne. Margaret of Pascoe Vale, good evening.
Oh, you're funny.
Hello, Margaret.
I don't know who's the worst of the two of you. But you've got my sort of sense of humour and it
Good.
gets you into trouble. But not you. But anyhow, I wanted to tell you, our neighbourhood out here, I could go, if I wanted to, I was a bit lonely, I could go into any house right around the block.
Good.
Because again, on the other side, are just lovely people.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And we help one another when we can. We don't always do what we should, but we do as much as...
Oh, that's wonderful.
And we help one another when we can. We don't always do what we should, but we do as much as we could. We could help one another. And as you know, I can talk. And, you know, I can go in and talk to any of them any time I want to, and they're always ready to be nice to you.
Yes.
That's putting it in a simple way, but they are lovely. It's right down the block, and I think that's very lucky.
Oh, yes, you are.
Because you can't always have that.
No.
And to have that. What about you, Bruce, with your caravans? Have you got nice people next to you?
Very lovely people, and the lady in the kiosk. We've just been there for years together, and...
You've got a kiosk as well.
Oh, the kiosk in the caravan park.
Oh, that's big time. Most of them are shut.
How good is that? I just feel sorry for Bruce using the concrete ablution block, you know.
Now,
really?
Margaret, we're going to give you something very special for your mobile phone. Have you heard about Patched?
No.
Patched reduces mobile phone radiation by up to 95%. It's like a little pocket that you keep your mobile phone in. And it's called Patch with an apostrophe D.
Yeah.
Available at Chemist Warehouse. But they're very, very good.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to look after me.
Tell us, Phil, about it.
Well, they're available exclusively through November at Chemist Warehouse. It's a brainwave of Dr. John Tickell. You know, because there could be radiation waves coming out of your mobile phone. And this will stop your brain frying.
Well, you haven't
Margaret.
got your mobile phone around your ear hole.
I tell you, my bones are fried. It's had one. I've had an aneurysm on one side. That's been fixed. Now I've got something on the other side. But maybe this will save it.
This will be great for you with Patched over one ear.
You don't take any risks, Margaret.
No, I won't. Thank you, boys, very much.
Margaret, don't hang up, for heaven's sake. We'll get patched out to you. Reducing mobile phone radiation by up to 95%.
Yeah, a great invention. Now, we're talking about neighbourhood, and my aunts lived in the same house in Hawthorne for 81 years. I wonder if anyone's tuned in tonight who's lived in their home more than 81 years. I'd love to hear from you.
I don't think so.
Well, it's something of a record, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Well, you might be surprised.
Okay, Mark, hold on there. Thank you. Jill at Tutkaroo, good evening.
Oh, good evening, boys.
Yes, Jill.
Lovely to hear your voices.
Thank you.
Yes. I just thought I'd ring up and just tell you what is happening in our family for Christmas. For the last few years, the 4 Dempsey mothers have taken their 8 daughters out for lunch the week before Christmas. And we've done it for a couple of years now. And this year, the daughters suggested we take the granddaughters as well. And between us, we've got 8 daughters and 5 granddaughters. So we're taking them out for a pre-Christmas lunch.
How lovely.
Doesn't that sound lovely?
Yes, it does.
And where will you go to, Jill?
We're going to, I'm not sure of the name of it. It's in Camp Friday before Christmas.
Oh, how lovely.
Yes, and it is lovely because as all the grandchildren grow up, they've all got their, but they still And it is lovely because as all the grandchildren grow up, they've all got their, but they still are happy to come with us.
Yes.
And it's just something special, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Yes, and the little boys think they should be coming too, but we said, no, it's just for the girls at this point.
Oh, yes. I'll have a good time, Jill,
Well, I
won't
think
you?
it's lovely to break the family up a little bit so that there's just that little group together.
And it just makes them, one of the granddaughters, Kate, she's only 13, and she is just so happy that she's included.
Oh, yes.
The other girls are 21 and 18. So, and of course our daughters, they're all 45, 48.
Well, she'll feel all grown up and very ladylike among all the old Christmas to you. Frank at Noble Park, good evening.
Mr. Bruce Mansfield, my good friend. Also my good friend, Mr. Phil Brady.
Yeah.
I was Mansfield, my good friend, also my good friend, Mr. Phil Brady.
Yeah.
I was thinking upon the lines 3 seconds short, why can't Mr. Clark Forbes put it on 8 to 10 and put Mr. Bill Parnell and Mr. Mike Brady 10 to 12 on the Fridays and Saturdays, because we are all getting old now. We have all made our money. And therefore, say for example, amongst the family and friends, etc., you kind of new trend where you'll have time for your family, etc., and then do the same suggestion regarding the Saturday, Sunday shows, etc. And then, because the world is very, very hard out there, and use them a little bit of music between 10 to 12 Friday and Saturday, and then 8 to 10, I know Mr. Clark Forbes is listening, a good friend of mine, and then you all have already worked out by now that I'm a humanitarian. You know, I mean, nobody can live and work forever. They make their money and they move on. So
no one knows more about Prestige, Jaco, than John and Joan.
And now's the time to get one of those trade-in deals.
Yes.
And that's better than buying one brand new.
Why don't you add a couple of annexes to your caravan? Be like giving you 2 extra rooms.
Jess at Albion. Hello, Jess.
Bruce and Phil.
Hello.
I've lost my wallet. I left it in the taxi.
Oh. How can we help you? Do you know the...
Well, I don't know. Footscray outside the new Coles is there.
Yeah.
Around about 3. Got home about 3:30 there.
Yeah.
Around about 3. Got home about 3:30. And he was quite cheeky on the way. And I got home, looked in my bag, looked everywhere, not to be seen. So if anybody's got a conscience, it's a black wallet. It's got my licence in, working with kids, seniors card, pension card. It's got so many things in it. I'm really at wit's end, and coming near Christmas, and not only that, I had taken out of my unit my key card and everything else and my licence, and I had to get it renewed. This is in August, September. It went out of my flat.
Yeah, well, really, the only thing we could do, Jess, is to ask any listeners that may have picked it up, or even the taxi driver himself, to turn it into a police station, just with your address, I assume, and phone number, and they in turn will get in touch with you, because there's very little we can do from this angle.
Yeah, unless you book the cab by phone, then they'll have a record of you.
Yeah.
If you just thumbed it on the street, that won't help.
But to simplify it, listeners, take it to a police station.
Yes, good luck to you, Jess.
Very unfortunate, and all that. Yeah, I think it's not so much the money, but it's all the cards and the IDs and licenses that are in there.
Oh, yes, it's a real headache.
So we understand what you're going through, Jess.
Yes, we wish you well, Jess. Let us know if you have some luck.
Okay, Christmas hampers up for grabs, valued at $100. That's the Hamper World Christmas Hamper. Somebody's going to get that. About how you make friends in your neighbourhood.
Yes, tell us what your experience
how the
is.
neighbours have changed for the better, hopefully, in your neck of the woods, and how you've made friends with them.
Okay, now how many times have you changed houses in your life? Apparently, on average, we all move 11 times in our
Gee,
life.
that's a lot.
Well, that's on average.
How many times have you moved?
Only once.
Oh, well, there you are.
But this is the average. So I'd love to hear how many times have you made a move?
11 times.
That's the average.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know it's amazing, but I've spoken to people and they've counted on both hands. I said, yes, we've moved 10 or 11 times.
That seems, I just can't imagine that.
No, to be...
I'm not doubting that the facts are right, but 11 times.
Wouldn't it be a nightmare packing up and unpacking again?
I couldn't stand it.
It's the worst thing you have to do, isn't it? Move house.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the next time I move, it'll be to the cemetery.
9-3. Nightline with Bruce and Phil.
A look at the weather for the weekend. The low of 13 degrees overnight. Very pleasant sleeping weather. Gee, that thunder was loud last night, wasn't it?
Yes, Roger, did you see the forked lightning?
Well, no, I could hear the thunder. I'm not getting up at 3:30 for forked lightning.
I was sitting on the balcony. It was quite spectacular.
Saturday's weather, morning showers, a fine afternoon, a top of 17 degrees, and a cool Sunday on the way.
All right, sounds pleasant to me.
Andrew at Melton. Good evening, Andrew.
Yeah, hi, boys. With the shifting, from what age do you mean, Phil?
Well, in your lifetime, apparently people move on average.
Do you mean from child age?
How old are you?
I'm 52.
And how many times have you moved house?
Well, from when I was married, 7 times.
Yes.
Before that, because we came from England, with £10 Poms, there was another 3 moves.
Yes. So you've averaged out around 10 or 11 already.
Yeah, that's right. And with the friends in your street, well, I've had this house here for nearly 20 years.
Yes.
And I hardly know anyone in that street,
I'll bet
in
you
every
do.
house.
What made you move? Were they jobs? Was it a small house? Did you expand the family?
In the later years, it was...
Were they jobs? Was it a small house? Did you expand the family?
In the later years, it was marriage. I got married at 19.
Yeah.
Then we shifted 3 times. Then I got divorced, and I had to shift again. Then I bought a house, and then I shifted again because my daughter didn't get along with her stepfather, so I had to rent a flat in Brunswick so she could go to her school and stay with her friends, and then shifted back to my house in Melton.
Okay, well, let's hope you can stay put now, Andrew.
Oh, yeah. I've been here so long, I'll probably die here.
Oh,
well, not for a while.
Hope not. Are you all together now? What's the situation?
Yeah. I got divorced years ago, and I've been in relationships since. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, that's you've settled down by the sound of it, and everything's fine.
Yeah, I think you married too young. That was the problem, Andrew.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was sort of a shotgun.
Yeah.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck, Andrew.
No worries. Thanks.
Thank you for the call and your honesty.
Shotgun weddings only lead to tears.
Well, how many have you had?
Oh, well, I've seen enough soap operas.
Well, what experience have you had?
Oh, well, what experience? Experience of life.
What?
Oh, being with other people and seeing how they've struggled.
Yeah, but what shotgun weddings haven't worked?
Oh, well, I just know that often, people who marry just for the sake of the children for convenience, if it's not a marriage based on love, what future
but
is
a lot
there?
of people marry without children involved.
Yeah, and there's more to life than sex.
A lot more than children.
Don't just marry for sex.
Well,
you get sick of that after a while.
No, but I'm just saying, not for children only.
No, I'm not giving Andrew a lecture. I mean, he's got his own life.
What happened to
run.
you with the sex race?
Well, that'll be something I don't remember. That's more a nostalgic topic.
Oh, my word, very nostalgic. Happy memories, everyone. Val at Werribee.
Hello. Oh, I'm having a good old laugh. You are taking the mickey out of Philip. It's
out of each other.
No, I was ringing up. I live in Werribee, and it's a lovely little friendly street. But I have a very nice gentleman over the road that looks after me. I'm a 92-year-old lady, and his mother was my best friend, and she passed away. And the day of my husband's funeral, 4 years ago, Philip used to be my son's, what do they call them, bouncers, because my son was in the police force and used to run a blue light disco.
All right.
And Philip was his bouncer when he was a young man. So, unbeknownst to me, he said to Peter, my son, he said, I'll look after your mum. So, God love him, he comes over every Thursday, and he knocks at the door, and I can see his silhouette through the glass beside the door, and he says, it's only me.
Yeah.
Comes over, puts the rubbish bins out, and he's always there when I want something done.
Isn't that beautiful?
But the thing about it is, Bruce and Philip, I say to him, come on, Phil, have a cup of coffee with me when I had a lady friend here.
Yeah.
And she niggled and niggled and niggled on him until he said yes and had a cuppa. But no, she niggled niggled and niggled and niggled on him until he said yes and had a cuppa. But no, he's so kind.
Isn't that lovely?
Yes, and as I say, and I said to my youngest son, the policeman, I'm going away for a few days at Christmas. I'll give Philip the keys towards the garden. And I said, is that all? He's rough and ready, but we get on well.
Well, I tell you what, as a little gift for both of you, a Hamper World Christmas hamper for you and Phil across the road.
Yes.
Tell you what, as a little gift for both of you, a Hamper World Christmas hamper for you and Phil across the road.
Yes.
Valued at $100 for Christmas. Order your Christmas gift hamper now from hamperworld.com.au.
Thank you, Philip.
And you share that with Phil across the road.
Oh, yes, I can't open the bottle.
No, let him do that.
And that'll be delivered well before Christmas, Val.
Thank you, boys.
Val, don't hang up. Hold the line, please. Hold the line now, and we'll get the Hamper World Christmas hamper out to you.
Yeah, nice call, Val.
Sounds a wonderful neighbour.
Yes.
Don't you think so?
Yes.
So welcoming and honest.
Yes, you're very blessed, Val. Well, with a name like Philip, you couldn't go wrong.
Gigi, good evening.
Bruce and Phil. That does sound like a wonderful neighbour for Val.
Doesn't it sound lovely?
It does. Well, you've often heard me speak about my lovely neighbour Emma and her family, and they moved in about 16 years ago, and we just clicked. Even though I'm 20 years older than Emma, we are like best friends. And she's been so good to me since I haven't been well, and she takes me to appointments and everything. And I am invited regularly in to have dinner with them. And it's lovely. I really, really enjoy it. And we talk about anything.
Yeah, well, you're so easygoing yourself, Gigi. You'd attract people.
Thank you very much. I've had good neighbours over the years, and unfortunately the one across the street has passed away. She was in her 90s.
Yes.
But no, we've had very good neighbours. Occasionally on the one side where there's rental units, there haven't been. But the recent ones have been really lovely. And yes, I'm very, very fortunate.
And you know, the nasty ones, thankfully, often seem to move on, don't they? Because they feel unwelcome.
Exactly. But no, I'm very, very fortunate because Emma and her contacts with people at school where her children used to attend, she knows all the younger people, so I get to meet all those, and it's lovely.
Yeah, you often ring and say how lovely it is to pop in on the weekend and have lunch with them, or a little drink, or just a celebratory birthday, and I think that's that lovely, the interaction you've had.
Yeah, well, Gigi's very gregarious.
Thank you, Gigi. Tony at Mini Ponds.
Yes, hello guys, another good show tonight.
Thank you.
Just a quick one. With a little while ago, you mentioned a radio play that ran for about 27 years, and it was called Blue Hills.
Yes, that's right.
Now, is there any way of getting copies of that, or is it very hard to get? I suppose there'd be a lot of episodes.
I'd contact Grace Gibson Radio Productions in Sydney. I'll give you a phone number in a moment, Tony.
Oh, fantastic,
I'm not sure that they have access to it because it was on the ABC, as you'd know.
Anyway, keep listening. What's your interest, Tony?
Yeah, I just like old radio plays as well. And I thought, if something's been running for 27 years, it must be really good.
Well, it's wonderful because it's the heart of Australia. It's set in the right in the outback of the country, in the rural areas of Victoria, and it's a wonderful story.
And I thought as well, if I can't get a hold of it, if you guys start playing on your radio station, because I reckon you'll be around for another 27 years on the radio.
Now, Tony, have you got a pen handy? I want to give you a contact number for Grace Gibson Radio Productions. Are you there, Tony?
Yes, I am. Hello,
okay.
1, 2, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
This is a Sydney number. On Monday, ring Bruce Ferrier at Grace Gibson Radio Productions in Sydney. He has over 100 serials. 02 is the prefix, right, Tony?
Adriatic.com.au.
Nightline with Bruce and Phil.
This one is called The Special Puppy. A farmer had some puppies he needed to sell, and he painted a sign advertising the 20 pups and set it, nailing it to the post on the edge of the yard. As he was driving the last nail into the post, he felt a tug at his overalls and looked down into the eyes of a little boy. "Mister," he said, "I want to buy one of those puppies." "Well," said the farmer as he rubbed the sweat off the back of his neck, These puppies come from fine parents and they cost a great deal of money. The boy dropped his head for a moment and then reached deep into his pocket and he pulled out a handful of change and held it up to the farmer. "I've got 39 cents. Is that enough to take a look?" "Sure," said the farmer. And with that he let out a whistle. "Here, Dolly," he called. And out of the doghouse and down the ramp ran Dolly, followed by 4 little balls of fur. The little boy pressed his face against the chain-link fence. His eyes danced with delight as the dogs made their way to the fence, and the little boy noticed something else stirring inside the doghouse. Slowly another little ball appeared, this one noticeably smaller. Down the ramp it slid. Then, in a somewhat awkward manner, the little pup began hobbling toward the others, doing his best to catch up. "I want that one," the little boy said, pointing to the run. The farmer knelt down at the boy's side and said, "Son, you won't want that puppy. He'll never be able to run and play with you like these other dogs would." And with that, the little boy stepped back from the fence and reached down and began rolling up one of the legs of his trousers. In doing so, he revealed a steel brace running down both sides of his leg, attaching itself to a specially made shoe. And looking at the farmer, he said, "You see, sir, I don't run too well myself. And that little ball of..."
Whatever else I do, midnight, where the stars and you.
Well, for Nightline tonight.
Yeah, we've had such a good week with you. So much so we're looking forward to the 4-hour show Sunday night at 8.
Yeah. Alan Pearsall back.
Yeah. So much so we're looking forward to the 4-hour show Sunday night at 8.
Yeah. Alan Pearsall back with us after a long time, many weeks away. It's the sunbreak over the country and a brand new day. The sun will be up tomorrow. Thank you very much for your company. Thank you to Kylie Minogue out of the new day. The sun will be up tomorrow. Thank you very much for your company. Thank you to Kylie Minogue out of the control room for all she's done tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And on the same set of tyres.
And a big fan of yours. She giggles a lot.
Oh, she does.
Yeah.
There's no stopping her.
I think she's #1 member of your fan club.
I don't know about that. Yes, all right, good. Oh, she does.
Yeah.
There's no stopping her.
I think she's #1 member of your fan club.
I don't know about that. Yes, all right, good. Good night, Samuel Carter. Amelia and them, the night at 8 for Remember When.
I'm just saying, little Laura, don't be scared tonight. No lightning, no thunder tonight, baby.
Don't
You'll
you
be
be
safe.
scared. Don't you be scared.
Safe in my arms on my pillow. Don't be scared tonight. No lightning, no thunder tonight, baby. You'll
Don't
be
you be
safe.
scared. Don't you be scared.
Safe in my arms on my pillow. Good night, Brewers.
And here's to the